I am just loving this moment right now because we have set up the camera. We were about to do an interview and that ended up falling through. So I told Chris, you know what? This is the perfect time to just hit record and share what we've been doing, what we've been working on, what has been changing in our own personal lives, plus our business, and share a little bit about all the amazing upcoming retreats from Costa Rica to summer solstice, second annual, as well as the Evolved Couples Retreat is finally booked. So Chris is looking over at me as the Aquarius is like, where's the bullet point, like checklist? Like, what are we going to teach? What's the mission and the intention and all that? And I'm like, bro, we're just going to have a conversation because I think this is what is needed. It's not just getting teached at and taught at more, which is one of the big changes that we've been making inside the Elevated Life Club for the last 6 years. Is it 7?
7 years.
Oh my gosh, for the last 7 years, we have been showing up live every single month, delivering a 90-minute masterclass with 3 guided hypnosis meditations and a yoga and breathwork practice for every single month. And we have over 75 videos and masterclasses inside the club. So we started thinking about what makes the elevated life so different. And it's the hypnotist and the psychic paired together. And the hypnosis work is really what makes the change stick in the subconscious mind. It's why our transformations and trainings are so powerful within the club and why our students and elevators are literally quantum leaping their goals even further than they thought was possible because it's the deep inner work that we do. So this random, like no teaching type of podcast, but casual conversation is kind of a direct reflection of what approach we're taking into the elevated life. It's not just about consuming more, but it's about connecting and actually being present.
Yeah, I realized forever ago that it's not always the journal prompts that get you there. It's not always just the trainings because we all have YouTube. So it's not always just YouTube type videos where someone's explaining something. There's something that happens for us on such a deeper subconscious level. And when we tap into subconscious level, then change almost happens spontaneously. It's almost like I've struggled so hard, but then finally I found the golden key. The golden key is the subconscious. And so we've been transforming our membership and in a lot of ways our life to really revolve around the key techniques. What I've noticed and what we've been when talking about a lot is because we've had the chance over however many years we've been.
Oh my God, 18 years this year.
However many years we've been doing this is how change happens. Like the really important thing is to not just always listen more, but it's to make it some kind of change inside. And that's what we're doing. Like Britt said, to me, last year was a year that created a lot of review for people. It said, hey, what you're doing and what you have been doing is not it. And there's another level that you need to go to. If you want to move forward, just being the same won't bring enough energy, won't bring enough of anything that you're asking for. So it's a shift. There's a big shift that's happening, which is, I'm so glad you came out with that for us. You were ahead of your time.
Okay, but pause. Let's take a moment for shift because the spring equinox is literally coming up. Way to high five. It's like you're on my team or something. We're actually going to launch Shift again because we created a brand new program last year to help bridge the gap, an intuitive framework to help you stop that self-sabotage cycle when you're up leveling and expanding into a new version of yourself. It's so easy to fall back into the familiar, even though it's uncomfortable and we want to grow. We find ourselves in this weird battle of, I want to change, but I'm afraid of change. So I created Shift as a program to help you navigate change with ease so that you could step into your full transformation and embrace the changes without resistance and self-sabotage.
So someone asked me one time, like, how do I get the most out of what you guys do? And the reality is, it's how you get the most out of anything. And that is, you're always
do it.
Yeah, but you're always preparing for the readiness for change. Like that's the key thing. Anytime you're going to something new, you have to come up with an open mindset because, again, whatever you've been doing is not enough. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to change. And so it's so important to get to that readiness point. Once you're at the readiness point, it's almost like the world opens up and then people flood into your experience or situations do or opportunities to where you're going to be able to learn whatever it is that you need. So sometimes you have to look back at where did we make mistakes? Where did we fall short? Where did we put too much on our plate? And to realize that's not what I want to do anymore. So we're evaluating everything. Everything is on the chopping block, like every single thing, because it's so important to move forward with less load.
Except for each other.
Absolutely.
You made the cut. One of the things that we taught inside the Elevated Life Membership Club this month was that deep meditation, actually no teaching, just experiential meditation. We did 3 different meditations, 20 minutes a piece, and it was to release, relax, and receive. This has been the theme of all of my clients that I've been working with so far in 2024 is a refinement, is a revision. And it's like we're in freaking retrograde. However, all the planets are like direct right now, which feels so good that we're wanting to move forward and really take action and build out new routines. So what I'm seeing as this collective forecast is that we're all going through a major shift, and we're starting to feel like the actual positive changes from all the hard work we've been doing. And even within our business, we've also been asking, like, what works? What is fun? What feels good? What is effortless? Where do we feel frustrated? We're both generators. So if there's any frustration in the process of creation, it really tanks the energy of the result and the impact of service. So we have really taken a step back, and we've realized over the last 3 years, after 2020 kind of just like shut things down and like made like this weird like get into your comfort zone patterns and habits and routines, we're kind of opening up our eyes and seeing like, hey, we've been doing the same thing for a long time, and we need to like take a moment and just see who are we today and what feels the most fun and good for us.
Yeah, and since you're talking about and describing what we're doing, like the thought process behind our strategy for moving forward in life, think about also in your own life, where do you need to make a big change? Where are you going to build up that readiness? And for us, it's so important to pull everything back. And the starting point that we always do, it's the baseline. Anytime we're going to make big changes, we always do the exact same thing.
Go to the gym.
3 big things. One is exercise, a lot. Like exercise, move your body. It doesn't have to be hard. Exercise, exercise, exercise. You want to be moving energy. You want to stimulate new energy, new blood flow, new oxygen. You want to get the endorphins so that your motivation levels stay high. And also when you're conquering something on a physical side, it makes it easier for you to slog it out through when you're dealing with the nitty gritty details or like really trying to plan your life. The next thing, our diet. Our diet has been so dialed in this year. I mean, it's always good, but it's become, so much better. And a lot of that I owe to learning how to make more food. We know how to make just about, it's gotten to the point now where restaurants aren't as appealing because I figured out how to make it. And it's just, there's so much love that you can pour. The third thing that we do, so we've got exercise so far, we've got diet in. What's the next thing?
I don't know. You lost me when you said we've got so much love to pour, and then you just changed fucking direction. So you lost me back there.
Purge. The third thing is purge. It's so big when you move forward to purge whatever those things are. If it's food you don't want to eat in the pantry anymore, get rid of it. If it's clothes that don't fit you, that you don't wear, that
spring clean,
that don't embody what you want to become, ditch it, give it away, give it to a friend, do something with it. You notice that it always allows you to have more space in your life. And it's that space that we're trying to create so that we can birth something new.
Yeah, this is our framework for how to embrace change. It's really a simple, basic process, and we overthink it, we overcomplicate it, and that tends to make us feel anxious and stressed out, overworked, overwhelmed, when all we have to do is actually stop doing so much and focus on really taking things off of your plate so that you can really assess, is this a 7 or above for me? And do I want to intentionally and mindfully put it back on the table?
Yeah. So this is a time to get really clear on where you're going forward. And even though, like on this podcast, there's not a clear plan, it's so important to at least know the direction that you want to walk. Because even if you end up missing by a little bit, there's only a small course correction. You don't want to go in totally the wrong way the whole time. So know where you're going. We know where we're going. We know where we're moving next. There's so many more details that in a clear picture of the future that we have. And because of that, it'll be so much easier for us to get it.
And you can only get that clarity when you slow down and take a look from a higher perspective, not from the same lens that you've been looking through. I think there's an Albert Einstein quote that says the problem cannot be solved with the same mind that created it. And what he means is not you have to go hire a coach, which we will definitely help you, but it's about getting out of your own perspective, your own mindset that was limiting in the first place, and really seeing other opportunities and other availabilities. So one thing that's been going on in the first quarter of this year for us that's kept us so busy and reevaluating, like, hey, like sitting down to record these podcasts and interview all these amazing guests, like takes a lot of time and effort and energy in the team. Like there's a lot that goes into this production. So we started thinking, like, how can we still show up and share despite not loving showing up on social media, but doing it it anyway, because we know that's like where you guys are at. So we have to meet everyone where we gather, and we know that social media. So we've been trying to find what's the next move for us to where we either love to embrace social media or we just change it up totally. And when we started thinking about how did the elevated life get started anyway, over 8 years ago is when we started not only the Shine Tribe Sisterhood, which we just celebrated 8 years, but also the Elevated Life was born because we started going live every single Friday, which is why you find our podcast still show up on Fridays. There's like that fun energy that Fridays just seem elevated for the week. Everyone's like Monday's gross, but for me as a hairdresser who's always had Monday off, I'm like, I love Mondays. But we can all agree that Fridays, that last day of work, that last day of school, maybe you work on the weekends, I get it. But the truth is there's always that elevated feeling of like, it's the weekend, it's my time, and I can't wait to have some fun. So the Elevated Life was born through doing live videos, no editing, no nothing, no nada. There was no production. We just hit live and uploaded it to YouTube once it was done. And we realized that things have freaking changed since 8 years ago. There's AI. There are tools that can delete the word out of all your things, which we're not trying to get that fancy, but we're just realizing that, hey, things are changed and we don't want to become old fuddy-duddies. We need to take a moment, take a breather, take a step back and see some perspective of how are we being called to show up and serve now in a new way, in an evolved way that feels good, that's fun, and still highly impactful.
I tell you what, we've really been called to, and you'll notice in your life where you've been called because people have been dropping hints. And once you hear the same hint multiple times, and we're not talking about criticism, we're talking about people being like, oh, wouldn't it be really nice if you did this? Oh, I'd really like it if you did that thing. People, especially now that COVID is over, so many people are asking for in-person stuff. Mm-hmm. And for Britt, who's just a sheer powerhouse in person, a lot of people are like, oh, I have not been, they haven't been alive in a while. You can tell people have kind of been in their own, maybe a little bit isolated, kind of been on their own a little bit. And people are obviously coming out more now. But wow, when people get in person and you can actually hug a person and you can look them face to face, you can look them right in their eyes, you can feel like deep into their soul, change is so much more possible because you have someone in front of you that believes in you. And so for us, so much of this has been, for one, teaching what we've been doing, how we've been doing it, how we had an online business, how have we created courses, how do you have a podcast, how do you do all that, how do you coach, how do you do in-person retreats,
how do you stay consistent for a decade in the online space,
how do you do it with a partner, like how do you do that work-life balance and everything? Yeah. So we've been asked to teach so much of what we do, and then also on the flip side, I've been asked to teach so much more hypnosis stuff. People want to know how I've been doing what I've been doing for a couple decades now, and it's like that calling, and forever we've talked about doing this, but it's never had the urgency. There hasn't been enough people, and suddenly it's like we've got to shift, we've got to pivot because we have to take time off to be able to create. I mean, course creation, content creation takes a while. Yeah. It's one of those things you're like, oh, I could just bust it out in an afternoon. I can just film these videos real fast, and then you do it, and you're like, that sucked. Like I have to sit down. It's got to be a lot of thought. It's got to be a lot of methodical planning.
2 years to create my first course, Shine School.
Yeah, and you're constantly experimenting,
testing.
You're trying to figure out, and not just the technological aspect, which is something. Luckily, we're years in, so we've like got that part down. But so much of the nitty gritty stuff, because you're trying to pull out how you do what you do, and then teach it to somebody else. It's not always easy because people can't just follow. They need the formula in a certain way. They can't just be nonchalant, and so. For us being called to do that, for me, it feels really good because people finding value in what you do, people want to use your same techniques to get change work in other people. It's really incredible, and I feel honored. It's a pivot. It's very different, and navigating the change while challenging isn't scary. It's exciting. Like this is going to be like a major jump for us, and being more in person, I've started to really love being at the retreats, having more retreats, having that. It's just. There's a way that you connect to people that you can't do online. You can't fill in the DMs. Even if you watch the best little motivational video, how long does it really motivate you? When you're with a person for multiple days and you're really in the fields with them, there's something that can happen that's very transformative.
It's so true. We just wrapped up our first Goddess Gathering full moon event of 2024. Oh my God, it was a dream come true. The location I had requested over 5 years ago. I'd love to have a Goddess Gathering here, and it just wasn't the right timing for all parties involved, and it happened recently, and it was literally a dream come true. But I share that because you talk about the power of connecting in person. We had a young woman in her 20s come to the last Goddess Gathering of 2023. She came came in November, and she was opening up about being in a narcissist, toxic relationship. She has a 3-year-old. She wants to leave, but doesn't know what to do. And in that sacred space of 50 women gathered together, strangers that she didn't know, we cheered her on and said, "You're not alone. If you're ready to make this choice, girl, take action." She showed up to the gathering last week, and she said to me, the next day after the gathering, I told him, I want him out. I want him to take his stuff. We're going to find a way to co-parent. And since November, what is that, 4 months? I've lost 20 pounds and I'm already dating again. I'm feeling more like myself than ever. I literally cried and said, I need you to share that with people so that they can see the power of transformation when you're in a room with people that hold you to a higher standard of who you really are, so that you can operate with full courage and full confidence. That is why we feel like we're ready to get out of the closet. Like Chris, like, we're going to do a video podcast. I'm like, I'm done sitting in the closet for good acoustics. We'll just upgrade our mic and we'll get back on camera, because this is what has been so fun for us, is because it feels like there's more of a connection. Now, over the last 7 years, we've seen countless transformations, but the rapid change that happens from the in-person work is why I felt called to literally leave behind a 15-year career, voted best hair salon in my town. I literally left that behind so that I could pursue, how do I bring powerful women together? How do I bring the community together? How do I get us in person? I literally asked one of my hair clients that's been with me since she was 15 years old. Now she's married with 2 kids, a kindergarten teacher. It's insane. I said, babe, like, what's the deal? I'm trying to show up online. I'm trying to inspire and empower because I know that I'm impactful, but it just doesn't feel like it just hits right. And she said, Britt, they just have to be with you in person. And what I realized is Chris and I are both generators. The energy that we produce is so magnetic that this feels like weird saying, but when you're in the room, you can feel that change is happening. So we have really focused on how can we make lasting, impactful change where we build deep relationships with people, not about quantity, but rather about quality. And for us, that's really been in these in-person retreats, from the Goddess Retreat that we're about to head to in Costa Rica at the end of April, to our next Evolved Couples Retreat, which it took like over a year and a half to finally find the perfect location where I got full body chills. And get this magical story. When I originally booked the very first Evolved Couples Retreat, we had been talking about it because some of the goddesses that had come to my retreats in the past had gone home so elevated, confident, inspired that their husband was like, who the hell are you? How do I get some of that? I want some of that. So some of the girls had asked, Chris, have you ever considered doing this for men or for partners? That planted a seed that didn't take that much longer. Less than a year later, we were ready to book that and like, let's do it. I think it's time. Men are ready to open and receive. And when we booked that original Evolved Couples Retreat, we booked it for September 9th through 13th, which was literally less than 2 months from us announcing it. We were just excited. We were ready to go. We learned a big lesson in hosting couples retreats is that if they have children and there's 2 involved, it takes a lot more maneuvering. That's why we have already announced that September's Evolved Couples Retreat is in the book, so you can start making your plans now. But what's cool, here's the magical story, is I booked those original dates for September 9th through 13th in 2021. We ended up realizing that we had to pivot and reschedule. And what I thought was a blessing in disguise was 2/22/22. We ended up moving the retreat, which 2s represent partnership. So it felt so symbolic to kick off our very first retreat. And Chris and I were married on 10/10/10. So these repeating angel number dates are clearly important to us. So our first Evolved Couples Retreat was on 2/22/22. And when I found the perfect place. It showed up, full body, nips hard, let's go, called my chef, he's on board, I booked it. And then I realized, wait, I know nothing else about it. There was enough beds for couples. I knew the main checkpoints had been done. I just was so intuitively like, yes. Whereas I have a list of 50 different places that we had considered, but just didn't ring like, yes, full body chills. This is the lesson. Here's the tip. Never settle. There's your rule. Never settle. Wait, have patience, because the right thing will show up. So when this right thing showed up, I went to go book it, and I just grabbed the dates in September because I knew that the weather would be perfect, the hot tub, the pool, all of it, the trees and the woods, because we're on multi-acres surrounded in the beautiful woods. So when I booked it, I didn't even think about anything else. I never even considered other dates that we had booked. I just booked September 9th through 13th. 2024, which was the original dates from 2021 that I booked. I almost cried. I was like, okay, I really had to hold a lot of patience for this one. Cause the energy and the excitement from those couples after the retreat was so high that we were like, let's do this again. It was like when we went bungee jumping, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I did it. I was like, oh my God, that was so fun. Let's do it again. So I wanted to just book it right away, but universe had me develop some serious patience, and now I can see why.
Yeah, I'm gonna, the couples retreat is gonna be phenomenal. I'm so excited for literally everything about it's gonna be amazing. But I want to touch back on a point that you mentioned a little while ago, and that is talking about holding space. And holding space and holding people to higher standards, or getting in a room with people holding to higher standards, because I think it's a really important concept, especially for anybody who does any kind of like serving, any kind of coaching, any kind of anything like that, or who wants to transform. And that is the fact that when we're talking about holding somebody to higher standards or holding ourselves to higher standards, it's not a critical voice. It's a call you on your bullshit voice. It's like, oh, I don't know if that's for me. Call you on your bullshit. It's not like a, hey, how come you didn't do this? You suck today. It's not that voice. The voice is more like, you got this. Like, let's get it together. I know you're a little tired today. I know maybe the morning didn't go perfectly, but so what? We've got a perfect lunch coming up. We've got a meeting we got here. We got this person here we're going to help transform over here. And so it's so important for you to start holding yourself to that high standard and get around those people without belittling people. Because the second that you start doing that, it invokes fear. And then because you put someone in the fear state, they cower away. And so that means they will never change, or at least not around you. And so it's so important to make sure that you are creating an environment or being an environment that inspires you. Holding some of the high standards means you're inspiring them, you're encouraging them, you believe in them.
You believe that the best that's available for them is possible.
And I'll tell you the simplest way to do this, and if you've never done this before, this is gonna be so profound. When you look at the person, when the person that you're around is in your experience, especially right in front of you, you have to see them as though everything that they want to do, everything that they could potentially do is possible in your mind. And you have to talk to them as though that is. Now, you don't just say it. That's not it, because if it's not congruent with what they believe about themselves inside, it'll be dismissed.
You have to feel it.
They won't hear it. You have to literally see the person as that thing. And the second that your vision is stronger than the vision that they hold about themselves, the more apt they are to dive right into it, because you hold the bigger frame and they want to be a part of it.
Yeah, it reminds me of my tarot call today. I had a one-on-one with a gal that when we got on the call, her energy was very low. It looked like she had not been taking care of her physical energy, the self-care. And by the end of the call, she was lit up, glowing. And she goes, I literally have no doubt right now. I feel so empowered. I feel so lit up. And it's because she wasn't putting herself around people who believed and saw the vision that she was holding for herself, because she had spent too much time in her own overthinking of doubting and criticizing and picking apart, like, well, maybe it won't work, or judgment or guilt. So when you have someone that can hold that belief for you, like, I believe that you're here to start a bakery. I believe you're here to create new recipes and a book that no one's ever been seen. I believe that you're here to impact and inspire the world. When you hold that vision for someone, it's like you're holding up a mirror where they can finally see it for themselves, and all their doubt disappears, not because you said so, but because they felt that belief and they wanted to create that for themselves. And that's why you put yourself around mentors or friends that, you know, hold you to you, like hold you to be the best you.
Yeah, I love it. I'm always talking about getting around people that are great. And what I mean by that is that those people that will hold you to those standards, that when you show up, they'll ask you those questions. They'll be like, you been hitting the gym lately? You've been moving a lot? Or what have you been eating lately? You know, they start to call you a little bit. And you start to go, oh, if I'm going to be around them, I got to show up. Like I have to like show up as A game me, because they're going to be A game them. And it forces you all to kind of be in that category together.
And it's not all the time being perfect. It's just knowing that you go with the flow and you're always trying to strive to that and take a rest when you need it.
It's the intention. To get to the A level, any A level player knows that rest is just as important as play, just as important as work, all the things combined together. It's an intentionality. It's that we're getting together not to complain, not to doubt each other, not to blame the government or inflation or any other million things that we can use as excuses. It's to, how can we make this better? So what's going on there? How can we do this? And being in that space is just really incredible. So if you don't have that, for one, come hang out with us. We're going to be, I love creating that because transformation is so beautiful to see in other people. If you want to love somebody, watch them transform, like watch them build their biggest dreams. But if you need that, find it. If you don't have it, then definitely create it.
Come join us in the Elevated Life Club, because you'll get that ongoing monthly connection and coaching, not just with us, but also the community that will cheer you on and support you. So although here's the announcement, we are going to take a little seasonal break from the podcast. We are going to step back so that we can focus on holding these sacred retreats and events, from the Goddess Retreat to Summer Solstice to Evolved Couples Retreat, as well as us attending our own retreats for our growth, our healing, our expansion. We just got back from California from Brendon Burchard's Growth Day. We've got the Go Wild planner conference that we're going to in April in Dallas, which I'm so excited that I'll be playing the frickin' sound bowls. Y'all get this, for Martha Stewart. She will be the keynote speaker at this conference. And also we'll be attending well, you won't, you'll be in the hotel. I'll be attending the Powerhouse Women's Conference in Arizona. Yeah. You'll end up showing up to the after party, I'm sure. But I'm going to a women's conference that I'm not hosting, I'm attending, because I know the importance. Because I host them, I also know I need to receive them. So I want you to challenge yourself to get outside your comfort zone and go in person, whether that's a yoga class or a freaking retreat, like wherever you're at on your journey of putting yourself outside your comfort zone and really giving yourself permission to pour into yourself, to invest in yourself. We really encourage you to find your community. That's the beginning of building your enlightenment, your chakra system, your community, your foundation. The people that see you and hear you and believe in you are a critical part of building that solid foundation. And until you have that support system, it's going to be really hard to get those creative expressions out into the world without judgment and fear and doubt and procrastination and all the things that we hold ourselves back from when we don't have that stable base.
So if you really want to make this year something amazing for you, I definitely recommend that you at least try out our plan that we mentioned earlier. That is exercise, that is diet, that is purge. All those things are self-care. When you purge, you're drawing new boundaries. You're saying, this no longer is what I need new things in my life. And so that's how you begin to attract them. Remember, it's all about the intention. And so as you self-care, as you really start to dial into how you feel and getting yourself into the best feeling state that you can be in, a lot of the other things become easy. You're not so much worried about the future because you know you're doing kick-ass things. You feel like, I'm capable. You get that support group around you that starts believing in you. So suddenly new things are possible. It's like, holy smokes, I had no idea it could happen this fast. I know you were just talking to one of our retreaters that we saw a year ago. It's been a year. And to watch the dramatic change that's happened in a person, to see them alive, to see that the light in their eyes, to see them like wake up and just, I love it. I love watching it. I love seeing them do it. It's such a blessing.
I know. She signed up for Mastermind after retreat, and her goal was to move to a different state. And she said, I want to do it by the holidays because I'm all about getting very clear on what you want, not just some like, well, it'd be nice to have a house and then no details. And she said she moved in right before Thanksgiving. So it's really incredible to see how rapid your goals can manifest when you are behind them. So I think today's conversation is really about getting clear on what do you want? What do you want moving forward? Take a moment to pause and really sit with yourself. This is why we head off out into the jungles of Costa Rica, so that we can take a week-long pause and figure out, what do I need and where do I want to go, so that I don't just keep spinning my wheels and wasting my energy. When you build boundaries, you develop more confidence for yourself. And between the boundaries and the confidence, that's where your worthiness comes from. And with that being the theme of everything, being worthy of receiving our dreams, being worthy of receiving the love that we're calling in, being worthy of receiving our own love, not just love that we're calling in from others, but our own love. Worth is the theme for March Masterclass inside the Elevated Life Club. Again, we are not teaching on worthiness because we've covered these topics for the last 7 years. And wait, worthy, empowered? That's like, something feels wrong. I'm like, wait, I'm a month ahead. Well, now you know the next 2 months, which we always keep it a surprise. So my bad. We are teaching on empowered empath and worthiness. That's the next 2 masterclass meditations that you're going to experience inside the club. So if you're someone who is sensitive and needs those boundaries, needs better confidence to speak your truth, and you want to call in the worth, then the next 2 months in the Elevated Life Club are going to be the exact place you want to be to build that confidence.
Yeah, a lot of people, we always hear, I want to be a coach. I want to do this thing. I want to do that thing. I want to be a hairstylist. And they think of it in terms of what they're going to do for the other person. They don't think of it in terms of how they're going to manage their own energy inside themselves.
Who you have to become to reach that goal.
That's the big question. There you go. That's the big question for this episode right here. That is, what role are you going to play starting now? What is that new role going to be for you? Are you going to be on the A level, A player? Are you going to be B, C? What is it that you want to do? And it's okay to be whatever you want. This is not like, well, if you're not the tippity top, then you're not it. It's just having that intention of saying, this is where I want to go now. I'm ready to put on this hat. I'm ready to claim this as myself. I'm ready to move forward in whatever that needs to be.
Oh, that feels so good. So I don't know exactly how long we'll be taking a break from the podcast specifically. We want to dabble with creating video again. So you will see this will be on YouTube as a video and also a podcast. And that's kind of the energy we want to roll into, is once we find a new routine around recording content for you guys and also balancing it with creating courses and certifications to teach you how to run your business or how to run a hypnosis practice to deepen the work for the transformative work that you do with your clients. That is where we are being called and guided to kind of take a pause from all the fun content that we share and really develop that next level course. It was like me being called to create Shift last year. I had to kind of pull back from sharing so much on YouTube and lives and social media so that I could really focus and dial in that beautiful framework. And now it's serving so many people in their journey of transformation and change. So I know that you are probably doing a habit that could be changed so that you can make room for more of what you truly do want. So really reflect on what that is. Know that you have the podcast to come back to. You can also, if you want more of us and you're like, no, I don't know where they're going to be, I can tell you for sure we'll be inside the Elevated Life Club. So come join us in our monthly membership so you can dive into those meditations.
Ooh, also, BrittneyCarmichael.com, Britt's website, just got an events page.
Yeah.
If you want to know where Britt's going to be in person or any kind of event, this is finally.
I know.
People are like, hey, I didn't know
I've
you.
been doing retreats for years with no events page.
People are like, I want to come to your thing. Britt's like, well, how come you didn't know about it? Like, I didn't know about it. What do you mean? So now we've got an events page, which is, it's beautiful. It's stunning. These are just going to be like in chronological order. If you want to look out your calendar year and say, okay, well, there's definitely things that I want to come to. I need to block off now, especially if you have to plan for travel and all that stuff. Go to BrittneyCarmichael.com and look at the top. You got events.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Boo. Yeah, we will definitely be showing up in person, virtual, live. We're just taking a little sabbatical so we can get our head on straight on what is our routine moving forward in life and in business. We've also had so much travel. So it's been interesting figuring out what is that routine while you don't even have like a grounded sense of, I know your Aquarius self is like, please stop. But we have so many cool events. And one thing we're also trying to put into the works, I know we've got Evolved Couples Retreat, but something that has been trying to brew through us for years is an Elevated Life workshop weekend experience for anyone, whether you're in partnership or not. So this, I think, is going to be a really cool event that that's where we'll leave it at. This is a really cool event that's been trying to come through the two of us for a while. And I think this is going to be the year that it happens.
I thought you were going to tell them about the cookbook.
Oh man, go for it.
It's projects, it's projects. Again, we do things that we get asked to do. And then another big one is a lot of people now going plant-based. We've been doing this now since
2013.
Wow. It's been a while now. So a lot of things have changed. There's a lot of new science that's come out. There's a lot of new ways of making recipes. There's a lot of good alternatives that have come out for a lot of the meats and protein and everything. And so we just want to share our journey. I mean, we both lost I mean, just a silly amount of
Well,
weight.
between the two of us, we've lost 175 pounds together. And what's really ironic is the very first idea we ever had to start a business online was to create a paleo cookbook. We were both CrossFit competitors and we ate paleo at the time, and no one was really doing it. So we thought, let's be the first to market. And when we went into the Barnes & Noble to do a little market research to see, are there paleo cookbooks out there? I heard the words turn around, which if you've heard my mountain story, you know how important those words are. So I listened to my intuition and I turned around and I grabbed the book Trust Your Vibes by Sonia Choquette. And looking back 11, 12 years later, I realized that that book was an absolute diversion to dive me into my deep soul work and develop my ability as a medium. And now that we are full circle 12 years, we're like, oh yeah, we should, everyone's been asking us for a vegan cookbook. Like, wait, wasn't that the original idea? But now we've just shifted into a new way of doing it.
It's something so important too, because a lot of times we feel like if I leave what I'm doing right now and jump to this new thing, then the old thing is dead. Then just like
It just evolves.
we're coming back. It's a circle. We're circling back on the old things, because anything that's really, it'll repeat. It'll repeat. You'll see it again. You'll see it again. You'll get another opportunity again. And here we are back.
Yeah.
Here we are back doing the same thing we originally wanted to do.
So I'm sure we're circling back with wanting to get back to video.
Yep.
Wow. It's a circle back, y'all. And we are just so grateful for you to be on this celebration and journey with us. Whether you're an elevator inside the club, you just tune into the podcast, or you check us out on social, it means the world to us for you sharing the message, tagging your friends, and really living and embodying the 7 or above rule. We love, love, love supporting you and hope to see you inside the club. I know that this is not goodbye, but it is definitely a love ya, see ya. And I cannot wait to see what unfolds over the next month or so to really figure out, like, what's the direction. I can't imagine we'll be gone for too long.
No.
Not if
No,
I'm
Britt,
involved.
yeah. No way.
Well, that's clear. Let us know what you love about the Elevated Life Club or podcast, what you'd like to see more of. And you might not know, on my YouTube channel, which is under Brittney Carmichael, there's an entire playlist of the Elevated Life videos. Every single podcast you can also find over there, including a whole section of yoga and meditation videos. So if you didn't know that, definitely go check it out over on my YouTube under Brittney Carmichael. You'll find not only all the Elevated Life stuff, but also all my woo-woo, spiritual, and business building tips. I don't want to say goodbye. I don't know how to end it, because normally say, we'll see you next week, peace. But I know we're going to take a little break. So we'll see you when we see you, and we can't thank you enough for all your love and support. We hope to see you in person, if not in the club, and we'll catch you soon.
Peace.